What is going on, y'all? Got a great video coming for you on the 4runner. Awesome, I'm super excited. A lot of parts are coming in the mail. We got the engine back here, the 2RZ, 3RZ family engine that we're gonna be swapping in here. So this video is gonna be awesome. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure you check it out. Get the 22RE out of here, diagnosing some issues with it, throwing that thing in the garbage because it's time for upgrades. We're going with the 2RZ. So this video is gonna be all about this engine. We're gonna be getting this thing prepped up and ready to go, get it all painted, new timing chain. I'm gonna show you guys all the parts list you're gonna need to make the swap happen on these old Toyotas with the T100 oil pan. We're gonna paint stuff, get things freshened up. It's gonna be sweet, and stick around. So as you can see, it's just very dirty in here. You got years and years of grime and stuff going on. So we got to get this AC compressor bled and disassembled because we don't need it no more. We got to get this power steering unit out because we're not going to need it no more. We're not going to need the reservoir as well. So we can delete all that stuff and then start cleaning this and getting it ready for paint. We're also going to have to swap out this bell housing to the Tacoma bell housing. That'll start getting this thing ready to go and cleaned up. All right, so I'm gonna start with this stuff, start degreasing and getting this thing soaked down. This is the first time this thing's been out in the daylight in about 3 months. It's a real bummer. But we're making progress and it's about to be running on its own here in a couple weeks, so it's all part of it. We're gonna put a little heavy duty degreaser down in here. That should help knock everything off. All I did for this for prep is I pressure washed this whole thing, then I cleaned it with Simple Green, then I went back and I wet sanded it with 600 grit all around, cleaned it all off again, and then this is literally just black hardware store Rust-Oleum paint. Nothing fancy, but good enough, a good clear coat on top of it to make sure that it lasts. Got the 2RZ bell housing in. I touched it up with a little aluminum paint just to freshen it up. So I think it's looking really good. Nothing too professional, but just enough to where it looks really clean with the new painted engine in here. I just want to completely reseal the water pump, the timing cover. We want to fix the valve cover gaskets, new oil pan gasket, obviously, and just completely reseal this thing up. We don't want any leaks. This is a fairly low mile engine, so that's awesome already, but we want to make sure this thing's going to be perfect and not leaking all over the place. All right, so as you see over here, we got all this stuff at Yoda One Performance. Super awesome company from the 209, back in my hometown, pretty awesome. Over here we got our timing kit. This is one of the best brands for timing kits. OEM Japanese style, super good. Of course Asian, always makes great Toyota parts. Japanese, super good quality stuff. Don't skip out and try getting cheap auto parts stuff or things online. Make sure you get the right stuff. Over here from LC, we got the T100 oil pan kit. It's a little bit pricey, but it comes with everything that you're gonna need. So you got the dipstick, you got the new pickup tube, the new T100 rear mount oil pan. This is gonna be for solid axles. This is really important that you're gonna need. You also got the new dipstick tube and some hardware. And over here we got our safety gaskets. This is a full gasket kit, comes from LC. See everything that comes with it, super important. We're not gonna be using everything in here. All right, so I already got the cover off for the exhaust. We're gonna have to get the manifold off. I already took the AC compressor off. It was just 2 bolts on top, 2 bolts on the side, and then another one on the bottom. So next thing up, we gotta get this power steering off. Then we'll start removing the upper and lower intake manifold and just start stripping this thing apart. Alright, so I got most of the accessories off the front, cleaned up the side of the block a little bit. Still gotta take the water pump off. I don't have enough juice to get this off in my gun, so we're gonna charge that back up and hopefully we can get that crank pulley off. And then we'll start working over here, getting the manifold off. Yeah. All right, so we got pretty much everything stripped off of here, except for the intake. And I'm not sure that I'm gonna take the intake off because I don't feel like dealing with taking all of this apart. I feel like it'll be easier if I just leave it on. All I'm gonna be really needing to do is get the timing cover and the oil pan off. I'll still have plenty of room to paint all of this and seal it up, kind of make it look fresh. So we will see, I might change my mind. I got the engine pretty much fully stripped over here. I got most of it all wire wheeled and cleaned up. Got a little bit more touch up and cleaning to do, and then it'll be ready to paint and get the front timing cover off. All right, well it took some heat and everything my gun had, but we got the crank bolt off. Might have to fight it a little bit. I had to put a rubber belt around it and cinch it down to keep it from spinning backwards. So it took a little bit of a trick, but you can get it off. Then we'll just slip the harmonic balancer off. I should probably order a new one, but we will see. All right, y'all, so it's another morning. I'm gonna start pulling this timing cover off. First thing I'm gonna have to do is drop the oil, so I can drop the oil pan. I also make sure that I get it on top dead center. That just kind of helps me know that I'm right where I need to be and I don't have to do any guessing later on. So on mine, I have this little divot. It's pretty close to the 0, top dead center. I pulled my spark plugs and I verified. So we should be good. This is already loose, so I just pop it off. So also, it's great to have one of these, okay? They work great for our vehicles. They have many years on them. So this works for the 2RZ and the 3RZ also. Shows you exactly the diagram, gives you everything you need to know, all the torque specs. You can go on the internet and sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. You got a bunch of keyboard warriors telling you different specs, different torque specs, what bolts have to come out, what bolts don't have to come out. If you go straight to the manual, you're going straight from Toyota, exactly their specs and what they want, and you know what you gotta do. Then you're not searching all over the internet, trying to figure out what you should do, hopping on the forums. It just doesn't work very well. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. Spend the 20 bucks on eBay or wherever, sometimes they're at the hardware store, get you a book, and then you can do it exactly how Toyota wants you to do it. So like right here, it's identifying all the different fasteners that I'm gonna have to remove to get this thing out. All right, so we're gonna dump this oil, see if we make a big mess. It's always tricky when you're on the engine stand. The dipstick looked like brand new oil, so we'll see what comes out of here. Brand new oil is not always a good sign. Sometimes if they have fresh oil in here, it's because they got a broken engine or something. They're trying to hide it and make it look like they do good maintenance. So they drain all the milky bad oil out, pour a couple quarts of good oil in there real quick and go, oh yeah, been good maintenance, great engine. Now you got yourself a turd. So I'd rather see older bad oil, used oil, because at least then you know what you got. So we will see what it actually looks like when it gets out of here. Sucker's a little snug. Oh, it actually looks pretty good. It does look like it's been changed recently, but it's still got plenty of black to it. So it's obviously been ran. I don't know if this has a magnet. Got a magnet on the light. Let's see if we get anything. If you got metal in the oil, when you put a magnet up to it, it'll try to suck up to the magnet. But right now, it looks pretty good. See, as you can see, it's still got kind of a gold color to it. So that's how you can tell that maintenance was done on it within 1,000 or so miles. But it's plenty black to where you can tell that it's been ran. And that's what I like to see. Okay, so over there I got the oil pan all scuffed up, fixing to do a quick coat of paint on it. And then we're gonna start pulling this oil pan off now that the oil's all drained. Step it off. All right, well, if you saw the last video, this is what the bottom of an oil pan should look like. No debris, nothing crazy, nice and clean oil. Come over here, check out that pickup. Nice and squeaky clean. We'll flip this thing over and look at the underside, but so far it looks pretty good.
You have to put the engine upside down.
We gotta put the engine upside down, so that way we can take some parts off of the bottom.
Oh, wait, how did you get the oil pump off? There's some more yucky oil.
Yep. Alright, going over. Nice and easy. Nice and easy.
Oh. I'm so scared.
Oh, wires every way.
Oh.
There it goes.
Oh.
A little bit of water. Locking pin in it. Alright, so we're looking at the bottom here. I'm not seeing anything crazy. Like we said, that looks really clean. I'm not seeing any damage or nothing crazy down in the cylinders. The way this engine's built, it's really hard to see down in there. Another thing we're gonna have to do is right here, we're gonna have to pop that out with a punch, so that way our new dipstick location will go in. All right, we're gonna have to take this off.
Can I take that out?
Sure. Actually not this one, because this one has some nuts we don't want. So be very careful not to drop them down in the engine. See? This pickup tube off. Gentle. All right.
Can I do it now?
Mm-hmm. And go fast. Go all the way. All right. And then on this one. Okay, get that one. Loose. All right, on the side. Nope, that's a big one. All right, so according to the book, we got this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, these two studs up top. Then on this side, we have this one, which is a larger head, 14 millimeter. The rest are 12. All right, and then I believe there's two on the back side. Okay, and I did forget the two in the valve cover on top. Be careful, but I found it pretty helpful to beat on the side of the water pump. It just helps get that leverage to get it off. Obviously, we're replacing the water pump anyways, so it's fine. Just give it a couple whacks side to side. And we'll start to slide it off with a dowel. Oh, there went my bolts. All right, and here we are with the cover off. Chain looks to be in really good health. Don't see anything out of the ordinary. Like I said, this is a pretty low mile engine, so. All right, we're starting to get some coats of paint on here. Just using some Duplicolor black. I've had great success with this stuff. Starting to get the valve cover all scrubbed down and getting some coats over here on the timing cover and the new water pump. And this is what I'm using, aluminum on this stuff. I always like to throw a little coat of paint on the water pump just because I've had issues, mostly on other manufacturers, not Toyota, but they'll start to leak just a tad, or you get a little bit of something on there and it'll start rusting out pretty quick. So I always like to throw a fresh coat of paint on there just to make sure it's nice and sealed up. All right, so I got a few coats of clear coat going on. Right now, I'm pulling the tensioner out. That's gonna relieve the pressure on here. Now we can unbolt both of these guides and then we'll pull this thing off of here. We already got it at top dead center. You can see it's pointing straight up. You can come back here, verify the pins are matching. Same thing. We got this groove pointing up, our dot pointing up. We're all locked in. All right, we got the right guide out. Now we're gonna slip this left one out. We'll loosen up. This top guy, I already broke it free. Okay, taps. You should be able to pull it free. Here we go. Right off of the dowel. Pull the chain off the bottom. Lift it out. So over here I have my tensioner. This is the new one. I pushed it all the way down and it has a little lock in there. The way this works is it slowly rides up and applies pressure to keep your chain tight. Now mine is already maxed out. So that means my chain was definitely towards the end of its life. If I pull back on this, it doesn't go any further out. Okay? So we're gonna install it like this. Okay, all the way pressed in. You just relieve the tension right here, push it down, and then lock it in. Then we'll slide it in. And then once we got it all installed, we'll pop this off and that'll apply pressure. And then as your chain wears out, it'll slowly go up. It won't go back down though. So over here, the first thing we're gonna do is pull our bottom pulley off. Not pulley, excuse me. Sprocket. Okay, got our new one. We're gonna flip it around so this beveled side is out. You see your little keyway, and you just slip it right on. Make sure you get it pushed all the way back. All right, now we have our upper sprocket. You can see that little rounded side. There's the square side, rounded side. Rounded side's gonna go back. So we'll come up here and it's gonna slip on right over our little divot there. Okay, you can see our still timing mark is straight up, still straight up. And I'll bring you in a little closer and see this bottom guy. We got that brass gold colored one right on our divot. We bring it on up here and we got our 2 right on our divot again. Right over here, just like our book says, 2RZ, top sprocket, 2 colored ones right in between. Our bottom one right there, we're locked in just how we're supposed to be. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is I installed my right side guide, locked it in, then just the bottom bolt down here. You can see our chain's still loose, but the more we squeeze this together, the tighter our chain will get and lock it in. You can see it's loose right here, but once we lock it in, it's solid. So that's where our tensioner comes in over here. And we'll just flips around actually. So where this little guy is on top, slide it in there, then we'll be able to pop that loose. That'll pop the tension out and we'll be locked in. All right, tensioner is bolted in. Come around here, you look down inside of there. Okay, now we're looking down from the top. You can see our little tensioner there. All right, once we get that little guy off, it'll pop forward. Now we're locked in. Okay, and I don't remember if I said it, but I'm gonna come up here from underneath and pop this little pin out. Just come underneath, pop it out real quick. That's where our new dipstick's gonna go. Okay, so now before we do the oil pan, I got it hanging again so we can touch up a few spots of paint, and then I want to get this rear main seal taken care of while we're here. All right, so I put some new sealer going around, put the new seal in. All right, so we have it flipped over. I just installed the new pickup tube, put the new seal in it. I only had the 1 bolt since mine only had the 3. So this side doesn't have one, but this thing ain't moving at all. I can even pick that side up off of here. So I think we'll be fine. All right, I ran a nice little bead going around. Time to slap this puppy on. Toyota putting these studs on here just really helps get this thing bolted down. Well, we pretty much got it put back together. Things looking sweet. Still got to replace a couple seals in the valve cover, a couple more knick-knack things. But for the most part, we got it all back together. What are you guys thinking about the color matched valve cover? I think it looks pretty clean, but let me know what you think. So real quick, I'm over here. I put the 4 new seals in the valve cover for the spark plugs, and I'm putting a new gasket in. Just slips down in there, pops in, pretty self-explanatory. All right, y'all, I think that's gonna do it for this video. I think the engine looks freaking awesome, so I'm super stoked about that. I can't wait. Next week, we're dropping it in. The engine bay, looking fresh. It's gonna look so good with that engine sitting in there. I think I did it perfectly. All the colors lined up just how I wanted them to. So I'm super excited. Next week, like I said, we'll be slapping the accessories on, dropping it in, and then hopefully getting this thing wired up to run. I'm super excited. Make sure you guys stick around, look for part 3. Thanks for watching. Live for Jesus.